A strike by power sector employees in Seemandhra protesting against the bifurcation of Andhra Pradesh has left the state crippled. The chief ministers of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Kerala have written to the Central Electricity Authority warning of possible tripping in their states because of a feared collapse of the southern grid. Now, the Union Cabinet is to meet today to discuss that situation. Visakhapatnam and Vijayawada Airport are running on a backup power. The Vijayawada-based 1760 megawatt Narla Tata Rao thermal power station, for the first time in its history, has completely shut down, with all 7 generating units stopped. Most industrial establishments and even shops are running on backup power. There are power outages throughout the region. Drinking water supply, train services, petrol availability, hospital services are all badly hit. Now, what's a matter of huge concern is that hospitals in the Seemandhra region have been hit hard by the steadily worsening power situation. Now, what's happened is that patients at the King George Hospital, which is the only super specialty government hospital in the North Coastal region, especially in the gynecology and neonatal and burn wards, were left to suffer because of the power blackouts since 9 a.m. In the neonatal ward, most of the incubators are non-functional because of disruption in the power supply. Now, the suffering of burn patients is only increased with the heat and sultry atmosphere in the wards as the air conditioners aren't working. There are now concerns over the condition of bodies in the morgue as post-mortem work has not been possible since yesterday. Only the casualty, respiratory and acute intensive care units have some power backup.
There is no power, you are seeing it, and there are so many cases in phototherapy unit, and warming, and 2 babies are there in ventilator also, so ventilator is running on charging.
Without power, you can see it's very difficult for us for giving injections. All these are neonatal patients, so we must be giving a very little amount of injections. We have to load that doses correctly. Without power, it's very difficult for us for giving injections.
All right, and let's get a sense of what's really happening on the ground. Uma Sudhir joining us from Hyderabad. Uma, what's worse is that hospitals are really being so badly affected. What's the latest on the ground?
Yes, Bani, there has been some debate about whether critical services should be put under ESMA and action should be initiated against the striking employees. But a decision was administratively taken saying that could really trigger the anger further of the people. Already they are actually facing the maximum brunt of the agitations that are meant to be for the sake of the people of Seemandhra. They are the ones who have been without public transport buses for more than 2 months. Government employees have all been striking for the last 65 days, in fact, and they have not got salaries for the last 2 months. And now with this power crisis, as you mentioned, bus service, train services, the hospital services, all of them very, very badly affected. The critically ill people are, in fact, even to transport them to other areas is becoming a problem. The phone connectivity is not there because of mobile chargers. There is no option of charging. In fact, Vizag Airport, we were told this morning that power has been restored, but the airport manager is worried that how long will this power supply really continue, and that's the reason why they have bought backup of about 2,000 litres of diesel yesterday and another 2,000 litres of diesel today as a backup to ensure that the 17 flights that fly in and out of Vizag, that is really not affected. So in a sense, there is also some kind of an anger brewing among the people because they are having to face with so many difficulties, but that anger is much more directed, I would think, at the politicians. When we chatted with the Chief Minister, when he was speaking exclusively to NDTV yesterday, he said, I do understand there is anger, there is fear, there is apprehension among the people about the bifurcation, and that's the reason why they are going ahead. But I am appealing to them that they should in fact exempt at least the critical services so that things don't take a turn for the worst. Politically, we do understand that the Union Cabinet is going to be meeting today to discuss the power situation. Already, as you mentioned, the chief ministers of the other 3 southern states have written to the Central Electricity Authority expressing apprehensions that the southern grid could be affected, and that could really plunge the entire area, the southern region, into a power crisis. So that's a big worry. While the chief ministers does say that he is not afraid of the rumors that there could be a president's rule as is being replaced. When I specifically asked him that question, he said that he ever since he took over as chief minister the last 3 years, those rumors have continued, and therefore there is nothing to worry. He has also clarified to NDTV that he does not intend to resign until he is chief minister. He would not be overseeing the bifurcation of the state. Over the last more than 2 months now, all government employees in the Seamandra region have been on strike. And in a sense, people have been feeling that only when the power pinch came, people are probably sitting up and noticing. That's one reason for them to also continue with the strike. Right now, we're talking about hospitals. Critical surgery is not happening. Doctors are telling us they're having to put off major surgeries. ATMs are not working. Railway is not working. And Vizag Airport doesn't have power.
Yeah, it is a serious concern. But they should realize that the people who are getting affected are also people from the state. So it is, you cannot have the people suffering for lack of power, because it's a critical area, someone's life is in danger, or trains, some important issues could be involved for the travelers. And it's very important that critical sectors, especially the power sector, I think we are trying to negotiate with them and try to get back power as soon as possible.
All right. In fact, let's just go across now to my colleague Sam Daniel. He's joining us from the airport in Visakhapatnam. Sam, we are hearing now that the power has in fact come back on in Vizag.
That's right. That's the good news for the Visakhapatnam airport, Bani. Since last night around 10:30, the power supply was resumed here, and yesterday the whole day they did not have power. They had to run their generators the whole day to make sure the airport does not suffer in any way. And today, as we speak now, there is normal supply not just in the Visakhapatnam airport but also all across the Visakhapatnam town, the industrial city. And yesterday, people had so much hardship actually in terms of not being able to charge their mobile phones. Hospitals, many had to spend their key surgeries because they could not keep their operation theatres on without backup facilities. In fact, I have with me the Kotla family at the Visakhapatnam airport. Let's talk to them. The whole day yesterday, there was no electricity in the whole town of Visakhapatnam. So how much did you suffer? Can you share with us?
Yes, whole day we didn't have power supply. We suffered a lot. We have to bear it for our state.
In your house, what kind of practical difficulties you have?
There is no water, and we are not able to charge our mobiles, and we are not able to do our things.
Water supply?
Water supply is the main problem.
Right. Yes. But you said you're willing to endure these hardships. Are you really meaning that?
Yes, of course. We definitely have to work for our state, because this is not a problem that to be solved overnight. We have to work for it. We have to strive for it. We have to go under stress and strain, but still we're going to fight for our state, for Andhra. Thank you.
Why do you think a united Andhra is required from your point of view?
It's like we need jobs, right? We need everything. It's not a problem. It's a long problem. We have to and effort when compared to some.
Well, we apologize for that audio quality, but essentially the point being made that people willing to sacrifice those essential services for the larger cause. But we do know that Chief Ministers of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Kerala have written to the Central Electricity Authority warning of possible tripping in their states because of a feared collapse of the southern grid. Now, speaking to NDTV, the Minister of State for Power, Jyotiraditya Scindia, said while the centre was monitoring the situation closely, power was and is the responsibility of the state.
You know, we're getting reports from the ground that suggest that Visakhapatnam Airport, for example, it has been operating without power. Many of the schools and hospitals are actually on backup power. What is the power situation like, and what has your ministry put in place in terms of managing with contingency plans?
Well, let me preface this comment by saying that primarily the responsibility of provision of power is the state government's imperative, right, not the central government. With regard to our position, the power crisis that you're talking about on the 30th of September, the power shortage on a peak basis was close to about 1.6%. It's now risen to about 6.6%. Right. Most of the power stations that have been affected are the state generating power stations, not the central ones. There are 2 central generating power stations that are under a question mark, Ramagundam and Simhadri. Ramagundam is working perfectly fine. Simhadri has an issue with regard to the strike as well as the supply of coal to the turbines. We are monitoring that on a close basis. We are also monitoring the evacuation of power in terms of the transmission lines so that there is no effect on the grid. We have heightened the monitoring from the level of POSICO as well as PGCIL on their substations on a hourly basis. As far as the shortage is concerned, we've also released close to about 400 megawatts, 350 to 400 megawatts from other states and other capacities into the system, into Andhra, to try and address this issue of shortage.